Hey, gotcha. So I've got a few questions about meditation and living a conscious life that I'm going to answer for you, and maybe some of that stuff is going to resonate with you. So first question, I was just sitting in silence and suddenly my mind flooded with random thoughts. How do I stop overthinking while meditating? Could it be possible that this thought, how do I stop overthinking while meditating, is one of your thoughts that you're flooded by? Check that. You make a difference between thoughts like, I still need to get this done, I want noodles today for dinner, I need to finish my paper, I need to study for exams, I need to go to work. And then you put this into the category of thoughts which need to be watched. And then there's the other thought, which is like, how do I stop overthinking while meditating? And then you make a difference. Like, this is a thought which should not be watched. Really try to check if you have the capacity to watch it all. Also this one. You're going to be blown where you end up. Second, I keep getting bored so easily, even when I do things I used to enjoy. Is this a sign of progress or just a problem? Well, I don't know. Really, I don't know. Maybe you're not enjoying it anymore. Maybe you lost interest. Maybe you had another motivation or another agenda to do this activity, and now the reason for it has disappeared and you were not aware of it, and now doing the activity doesn't make sense anymore. I feel like the more I meditate, the less I relate to other people. Am I disconnecting or waking up? Again, I don't know if you're disconnecting or waking up, but I had something similar that occurred to me. It's probably something different, but still worth mentioning, because maybe you just look at it from a different angle. When I started to enjoy meditation a lot, I was getting more and more able to sit into the silence, to really sit down in that silence. And in silence, you're very content. Silence is no movement, and thought is any kind of movement. And thoughts are gonna come like, I am not content with what is. This is why I feel bored. It's not good enough. It's not exciting enough. And if you are able to sit in that space of contentment, there's also not the desire to be with people necessarily, or even to relate to them. So if that sounds familiar, maybe that could be the case, but I also would recommend to be careful with that, not being able to relate to people, because it could be possible that this also comes from maybe anxiety or insecurity to be with people, to be in a very honest and raw and genuine way with them, because maybe you might be afraid of being just yourself and expressing that in an authentic way, because you don't know if they're gonna judge you. Could be also the case, so I would watch out for both of these things. And my experience is, if your meditation is really going well, you're gonna go the path of silence, and love will come as a byproduct of it. So when your meditation is going well, you will be going more into love, and then actually being with other people can be really nice if they're not so messed up. And they start to become more and more beautiful, and actually relating to them gets more intimate, because the distance between you and them is going to get closer and closer and closer and closer, and basically when it ends in one, it's going to end in love. And this is why I feel at a certain point that relating to people is actually a beautiful thing. And so this is why I would say check out both of these sites. Or maybe there's something about it that I didn't mention, because I'm also not a seer. 4. Whenever I try to stay present, I get distracted within seconds. Is there something wrong with me, or is this normal? Well, when you start with meditation, that's normal, because the conditioning has been for the whole life basically to be caught up in your thoughts. And if you're constantly caught up in your thoughts, you are fueling them. And then if somebody comes and says to you, now just watch the thoughts or watch the breath until there's clarity and you can watch the thoughts, then, well, it's basically like learning anything new in life, like a language. You're also not going to learn a language on one day or a week. It's going to take months, sometimes years. And the older you are, and the later you start, the harder it's going to get to learn this language, the language of silence, because you have lived and represented your whole life the language of noise, of movement, of mental garbage. So be patient, give it some time. There was a second thing that came to my mind when I read your question. Yeah, another beautiful thing to talk about is the difference between focus and watching without narrowing down your perception. So when we focus, we usually like to do this when we study for exams or we want to read a book. We're gonna narrow down all our whole attention to one point, the letters that we are gonna read. And then we try to blur out everything around us. And in doing so, the aim is to really get this in what we're looking at right now. Well, the problem is just, well, when, for example, suddenly a dog starts to bark, then our focus attention starts to open again, goes to the sound of the dog. And this we call distraction, because we have this aim of getting this down, and we don't want this. So this approach is basically based in non-acceptance what is. So this is strict approach of focus. The opposite to this is awareness, perceiving your surrounding, wherever you are right now, without narrowing down your perception to one point. And in doing so, you will be surprised. Try to read the book. You will be not disturbed by the sound of the dog, because your whole approach is not to narrow down the perception and to ignore this, to push it away. You are open to everything. And in this state, you're able to read the book and also to listen to the dog. And maybe you've realized it already, in this state or in this approach, there is no goal. In focus, there's the goal of, I'm gonna watch this, just this, the rest doesn't exist for me. So when you have no goal, you have no expectation, and when you have no expectation, well, you will not be discontented, because nothing can happen which pulls you out of your narrowed down perception. So when I read your question, I'm going to read it again quickly. Where is it now? Here it is. Whenever I try to stay present, I get distracted within seconds. Could be possible that you just try to focus and not to just sit. And yeah, there are meditations where you focus, and there are meditations where you just sit and do nothing. So I would just check on that and see which one suits you more.